Right. Okay. So, actually, let me just turn the screen round so I can see what I'm doing. Know if I'm in the shot or not. Right. Okay. So I'm in Epping Forest, or at least some part of it. Epping actually itself is that way, but I'm in part of the forest. I mean, I got a feeling that it's not a continuous forest. I think there's like patches of it, interspersed with little towns or something, or little villagey things or something, or whatever. I'm not sure exactly, because this is my first time actually in the forest of Epping. Been to Epping itself, the town centre, but never been to Epping Forest before. So I know that this is part of it, I believe, but apparently it does stretch away. But as I say, it's not continuous forest from one end to the other. It's interspersed by little towns and stuff. Somebody was telling me, I was asking directions from a fella in Epping itself just earlier on, and asked him, well, how do I actually access the forest? How do I get to the forest? Basically, he says it starts from Snaresbrook, a place called Snaresbrook, all the way down to another place. I forget where he said now off the top of my head. But anyway, the thing is that, like I say, so this is part of it. I don't know if this is, strictly speaking, actually Epping Forest itself, or at least part of it. I'm not sure. I was hoping to find somewhere a little bit more, slightly more remote. I mean, not too isolated, but I wanted to try and get away from sort of civilization to some degree, at least. You know, houses, traffic, all that sort of thing. I wanted to be in a more isolated spot, sort of thing, just to try and soak up a sense of, I don't know, just being back out with nature, being outdoors, being in a forest that, you know, because at one time this country was covered in forests. You know, we've lost a hell of a lot of it over, you know, the last couple of thousand years or whatever what it is. But you know, this country, England, was covered, the length and breadth of it almost. You know what I mean? Obviously there were certain parts that weren't, but you know, there was a heck of a lot of it. And of course now all of that's gone. Well, hell of a lot of it has anyway, because obviously, you know, we've moved on a hell of a lot since then. But the thing is, like I say, I wanted to try and just be in an area that was a bit more secluded, a bit more less near civilization. You can't really get that so much in England. You probably get it up north, like in Scotland or somewhere like that. You'd probably get a sense of that more in a place like that, where there would be definitely civilization would be a good, I don't know, 50-60 miles away from you, maybe more, sort of thing. I don't know, but the things that, like, some of the videos I've seen on YouTube with like Adam Wu and other people like that, when they've gone out into their sort of wilderness, if you want to call it that, in America and places like that, there obviously the sort of expanse is going to be much bigger. So I guess you get a much more, I don't know, a much better sense of the sense of being out in the wild and disconnected from modern society. And I guess for a little while that's what I wanted to do, just disconnect from the modern trappings of the world around me, and just come into the forest and just absorb the essence of it. Well, I don't know what the heck I'm saying, to be honest. I don't know how to exactly articulate or verbalise that, what I'm trying to say, but nonetheless, you know, it's not ideal, it's not exactly what I wanted. I was thinking of going a bit further in, but I'm not sure how much further in you can go. I'm also thinking about the light, because it'll be getting dark in maybe about another hour and a half, maybe. And you know, I've got to think about getting back and not getting myself lost. That's another thing, because I've got work in the morning. So you know, I've got to make sure I get back home in good time. But as a part of me, kind of the explorer in me, if you like, the natural human instinct to explore, there's a part of me kind of wants to go in that direction, because it looks a little bit more interesting over there, but I have no idea, because it could peter out and there's, you know, a flipping town in front of me for all I know. That's the trouble with England, you see. You know, the trouble is that we don't have vast expanses of isolated woodland, do you know what I mean? But anyway, do you know what, that's never mind. But yeah, so, as I say, I've come out here as well because I was watching a film last night, the Rendlesham UFO incident, but not based on the actual event that happened, but a film based loosely on it and around it, and it's a fictional thing. It's a fictional thing. But they're out in Rendlesham Forest, and again, that's quite an extensive forest. Sandwiched in between, there's two military air bases sandwiched in between the forest, sort of thing, whatever. And at some point down the line, I'd love to go over there as well. And I guess a part of me was kind of like wanting to come to a wooded area in the hopes that I would experience some UFO phenomenon, sort of thing. I'm fairly certain I won't. You know, I mean, I'm not a big believer in that. I believe people have a real experience, definitely. I'm convinced people do have a genuine experience. What that is, I can't say. Do you know what I mean? I don't necessarily subscribe to it necessarily being aliens, but hey, who the heck am I? Do you know what I mean? For all I know, it could be. But anyway, as I said, there's a part of me, the boy in me, the child in me, kind of. A part of me wishes that I could have an experience like that. You know what I mean? And hopefully not a scary one either. Not like one of these proby things. You know what I mean? I don't fancy getting probed necessarily, or experimented on in any way. Just have an amazing experience like some people do. Some people have quite a positive experience with these things. Some people don't. I'd rather have the positive experience. Yeah, so like I say, a part of me is kind of, a bit of me wants that to happen, but obviously that, I'm pretty sure that's not going to happen. The fantastic light coming through with the sun shining through the trees at the moment, it's absolutely gorgeous. I don't know if you can see it on my face necessarily through there, because I can see the screen and I can see my head, but I can't see any detail, so I don't know. But when I look back on it, I'll check it. But it's really nice. It's winter time, and I guess forests in winter time can be just as beautiful as they are in the summer. I prefer summer, I just do, in terms of the temperature, and I like the greenery. I like when it's green, but it's just as nice like this as well. It's still quite beautiful one way or another, and it's just nice to be out in a sort of country air sort of thing. Right, so anyway, I'm just trying to think, because I'm trying to make it a bit more interesting than just me waffling on about stuff. And I guess that's part of the reason why I want something to happen, like a UFO flies over. I'm sorry, I'm just being, I seriously don't think that's going to happen. But, at least something interesting, or traipse around, say, like Adam Wu does, and come across some abandoned building or something, you know what I mean? Then at least something interesting, so that I can show you guys, rather than just me waffling on. And I think I've waffled on for a good 10 minutes now, maybe a bit longer, so, right, okay, what I'm going to do is, I'm going to stop the camera there for now, and we'll pick it up a bit later on. So I'll leave it there for now. Oh, in fact, I'll tell you what, the sun's coming through, it's gorgeous, actually. What I'm going to do, actually, is, we'll turn this back round, and I think I'll just give you a panoramic view, actually, instead of just shutting off the camera, just so I'll give you a sense of where we are. I mean, we're not a million miles away from the road, so sadly, well, I think sadly, because like I say, I wanted to try and get away from civilization, the trappings of civilization to some degree, for a couple of hours at least. Do you know what I mean? But sadly, it's not an easy thing to do in this country. There are some places you can, but not a very lot. Right, okay, sorry, I'm just waffling now, and I'm just because I'm contemplating where do I go. Right, I'm going to head in this direction here. You can't really, it's difficult to see through all that foliage and bit there and what have you. Well, I'll say foliage, I mean this holly bush even there. But in that general direction, I'm going to head there and see what's over there. Hopefully something interesting. Right, I'll catch you in a bit.